Circling along from New Malden to Kingston. I wish that it was easy, but it's shit. Hello from glamorous New Malden High Street, which a lot of people around here are fond of calling the village. This is the village high street. You will notice none of the many cafes have any outdoor seating here because parking is more important. In fact, in a precursor to the LTN debacles that have happened across London, local residents here actually formed a group to keep this roundabout like this. So this is called the Fountain Roundabout, and as you can see, it's a pretty dangerous roundabout. There's absolutely nothing really for pedestrians or cyclists. If you want to cross here, you just gotta have to hope that someone stops for you. So the reason why locals campaign to keep this roundabout is because of the fountain that you can see in the middle there, which is a fiberglass post-war structure which has got no historical relevance or importance at all. But when the council had a plan to put in like a proper cycle lanes and crossings and sort of turn this more into like a more modern junction, people went crazy. They marched, and you know they wanted to keep their roundabout. So that means now I, on my bike, I'm going to have to cycle round this dangerous roundabout because a plastic fake fountain is more important than my safety. Thanks, guys. Well, the good news is I made it round the roundabout in safety, although it's a little bit hairy, and in the words of our appalling ex-mayor, I did have to keep my wits about me. As various drivers did try to pull out on me as I signalled to come round to turn right. So as you can see behind me, there is then a paint-based infrastructure solution where they've painted some dotted lines to say, hey, this is where cyclists should be, stay in the gutter, and offering no further protection. But OMG, drum roll please, on this side you can just about see that there are some wands. Now these wands come and go, but that is already better than what we had before, so that's slightly exciting. So I'm going to cycle down and see how that goes, although I can already see a van parked parked where the cycle lane should be. So right, so we've made it to outside beautiful New Malden Library, and there are some wands which I enjoyed coming down for about 40 metres. And we got to this point, and unfortunately, though there are wands, we also have a truck parked sort of across the double yellow lines and the cycle route and the pavement, which I think is a way of like trying to break as many traffic rules as possible at the same time. I suspect it might be those people, ironically enough, putting together that pedestrian crossing there. I'm not sure if they need to make it more dangerous for cyclists while they do so. So I said, excuse me, is that your van? And the guy said, I know what you're going to say, mate. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, if it is your van, it's parked illegally across the cycle lane, and I've just seen two old people having to veer into the main carriageway, which I know a lot of drivers don't like cyclists being in, to avoid it. And he was like, there's nowhere to park, mate, nowhere to park, mate. It's going to be there for at least an hour and a half. So I asked if they were doing the work for the council. They said they're doing it on behalf of the council, so I told them that's who I'm going to report it to. Yay! Oh, I forgot, the other thing I was going to say is this is I think it's sort of trying to be a sort of bus bypass, but as you can see, it doesn't really work because they've forgotten the whole bypass bit, so the cycle lane just continues like that right in front of where people are trying to get on the bus. This is what a floating bus stop should look like, Kingston, you pricks. It's not up to speed, it's not good enough. I don't really understand how it got past the planners, given that it's clearly designed to cause conflict between people on bikes and scooters and mobility scooters and pedestrians. Someone using it right now, as you can see. But it's still not good enough, is it really? Particularly as straight after the fake bypass, you are deposited straight back onto the road with a lovely line of white paint as your only protection again. Starts off as a solid white line, which I think means do not drive into it, but there's nothing to stop you from doing so. And then it becomes the sort of dotted line, which I think means please do drive into it if you want. It really doesn't matter. And that combined with single yellow line rather than double yellow line means that this kind of infrastructure is worse than useless, because it means you're left with situations like this behind me, which, as you can see, it just means that people just park in the so-called cycle lane anyway, and you just have to veer out into the road once again. Cool. Yeah, so I've seen cyclists trying to get through here, but it's quite a busy bus stop, and the cycle path just sort of gives up, and you just have to, I don't know, dismount or wait. There's absolutely plenty of space here for a bus stop bypass or some form of proper, genuine, segregated cycle lane. But instead they've gone for this weird hodgepodge, which is just going to piss off everyone. And again, I don't know how infrastructure like this is still getting made in 2020 or 2019 or whenever it was it went in, because it's just look behind me, paint on the pavement. It's just an absolute shambles. Oh, and here's a bus. So our last bit into town takes us down the old London road, which again is tricky to get onto unless you absolutely know the area quite well. I think most people would just head down the bypass past the Kingfisher Leisure Centre, which is obviously a terrifying 1960s style gyratory, of which Kingston has many. Here we have the famous falling telephone boxes structure, which now feel quite poignant and sad now that people don't use telephone boxes anymore. And this little bit of infrastructure here is one of the oldest bits that I know of in Kingston. This has been here for years, although as you can see, half of it is currently being used by workmen for whatever it is they're doing. They're just using the cycle lane. No idea, presumably for whatever this new block of crap flats is. From here on, it's kind of pedestrianised, and you are forced to go right round the sort of edge of town again on the gyratory, but at least in a separate sort of off-road route. Yeah. Kingston Council is shit at cycling, what can I say? Cycling along